Hey guys, welcome back to Movement Graffiti's Groundwork series. This is breathing and movement, and the video is number 2. So we started out in our first video by laying flat on our back with our knees bent and our feet flat, about hips distance apart. We were breathing in through our nose, allowing the diaphragm to fall down into the gut. And then as we exhale, we breathe out through our mouth, allowing the diaphragm to float up underneath the rib cage. So now we're going to actually move. Remember, we focused on allowing the bottom of your rib cage to really press firmly into the mat, and we breathed and spread ourselves wide. We also focused on the top of the hips being pressed into the mat as well. And between the bottom of the ribs and the top of the hips, we focused on the lumbar spine, which is the lower back, and we spread that wide into the mat as well. So that's pretty much serving as an anchor. Those 3 key positions, the bottom of the ribs, top of the hips, and then right in the center of that, the lumbar spine, the lower back, that's going to be our anchor for now as we start to move the body. So breathing in through your nose, I want you to start to float your right leg up to the position that I have it in, which is called a tabletop position. Thighs should be about 90 degrees to the floor, and then your shins or your calves should be parallel with the floor as best as possible. Notice with my back, right? It's firmly planted on the mat that's underneath me. I'm not arching up. I'm not pushing my breastbone forward. I'm not pushing my lower back forward and allowing my hips to kind of do a curve forward, which we call a tilt. We're not letting our hips tilt forward. So I'm really allowing my torso to be what we call in fitness, it's powerhouse, which is your catalyst for movement. And also, the stability of this powerhouse will definitely protect your joints as you go further and further into your fitness regimen, or as you just do your normal day-to-day work. So again, breathing in, floating your left leg up to the tabletop, lowering it back down to your foot flat and your knee bent. And then you're going to let the right float up to tabletop as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, you're going to lower that leg back down to the mat as well. Now try doing that one leg at a time, breathing in, raising the left, and then lowering it down, breathing in, raising the right, and then lowering it down. You'll start to see that your abs are actually working. They're really, really working as you keep your lower part of your ribs and the top of your hips anchored into that mat. So that's what we really want to pay attention to in this section of the video. How much the abs do come into play as you move your larger limbs, which in this case is going to be the legs, right? The big thigh, the quad, all that. As you move those muscles, your abs have to come into play so that you protect your hips, so that you protect your knees, so that you protect your ankles and your feet when you walk. You can also see, as you keep moving up and down, moving your legs up and down, how much you do pull forward. How much you do pull forward in the belly into the ribs as you try to move your legs. How much of an active effort it is to keep your back pressed into the mat. So as we progress, we're going to pull forward less. As we get used to this form of movement, we're going to pull forward less, and pulling forward less as you move your legs and eventually as you move your arms, you're going to feel less pressure on the lower back. So that will alleviate back pain. It'll alleviate some sciatica if you have some nerve issues. It'll alleviate knee pain, any arthritic knee pain, and ankle and foot pain. Because you'll notice that the powerhouse from the top of the shoulders to the base of the hips, that section right there, that controlling that and having a good strong powerhouse is really going to prevent you from feeling a lot of pain and a lot of stress and strain and fatigue on the body. So keep moving the legs up and down, and I'm going to throw in some new movements here. All right, guys, so in order to move, we're going to remember to keep the base of your ribs and the top of your hips on the mat as much as possible. And let's start to slowly extend your arms above your head, just like I am in the picture, and extend your legs underneath your hips. So you're slowly moving. As your arms go above your head, you're dropping your shoulders into you, and then as your legs extend, you want to feel the back of the leg, the back of the knees on the mat as much as possible. So we're really trying our best to have our back, joke, as much as possible. So you want to start moving from the powerhouse. So if you noticed when you started moving your legs, when you started moving your arms beneath and above you, that there was a bit of a struggle to keep your back onto the mat. And that's just showing you how much forward you pull when you're moving your limbs, and eventually your head and your neck. But it's okay. We all do it. We just want to get into more of a functional way of working so that we preserve ourselves as we age and as we do more difficult things on a daily basis. So let's get moving. Our legs are slid out right underneath our hips. Just gaze your eyes down and just take a look at your ankles. Try to make sure that they're in line with your hips as best as possible. And to pick up your leg, you're going to let the abs sink into the floor. So I know you're on your back, you're not on your belly, but your abs can start sinking in towards your spine, i.e. the floor. All right, and then you're going to pick up your leg from the back of your leg. So that should alleviate some pressure on the quads, on the thighs as you're moving. Lower the leg down slowly and start picking up the opposite leg. Now, as you try to maintain that base of the rib into the mat, you're going to find that the upper body is starting to ask, well, like, what about us? Like, what do we do? So your shoulders, which are at the top of the powerhouse, they should kind of sink down towards your hips as you pick up your legs and pull your abs in a little bit more. So that back, once that leg is all the way up, that back has more ability to press into the mat, right? Spreading wide at the base of the ribs and then anchoring with the hips. We're actually going to relax in the tailbone too and keep pulling your neck out of your shoulders. So you can move a little bit quickly and see what happens when you move a little bit faster, how much more strain, how easily you can kind of fall out of the technique. So that's why mastering the breathing, like in the first video, is very, very important, just in case you have to do something really quick, really fast, and you kind of fall out of your positioning. All right. From there, we're going to keep the legs still. So if you want to bend the knees and keep the feet flat, or if you want to extend the legs underneath you, just fine. We're actually going to move the arms now, and we're going to spread them wide. Interlace your fingers, bend your elbows, and place your hands behind your head. So the palms of your hands should be at the back of your head. And from here, you're going to pull in the abs a little bit, and you're going to anchor that base of the rib onto the mat. And then you're going to start to lift your chest and round your neck and your head forward. Once you get up there, take a breath in. And then as you exhale, you're going to come down one bone at a time to a flat back. Once you're on your flat back, you're going to take a breath in, diaphragm breathing. And then as you exhale, you're going to lift the chest, the neck, and the head. So your head should kind of stay in your hands like a body in a hammock in a way. You shouldn't be pulling your neck forward as you're lifting your head and chest up with it. You should just kind of be floating up, and your back should be anchored so much into the mat that you're more aware of your direction, and then you're also able to move a little bit more fluidly You shouldn't be straining or pulling or tugging on yourself. So for the rest of the session, for probably another 5 minutes, I want you guys to just take it upon yourself to keep your back into the mat and move your legs up and down, bend your knees, straighten your legs, slide them out from underneath you, bend them back in. Raise your arms, lower your arms, bend your elbows, place your hands behind your head with interlaced fingers. Start lifting your chest, neck, and head, all doing that while your back is anchored into the mat and while you're practicing your diaphragm breathing. Here's a video, guys, of me doing some simple movement while my back is anchored into the mat. If you're a beginner, please start out with small circles, the circles that I'm doing with my legs, and you can also do them with your arms. Try to keep the circles as precise as possible and pay attention to your breathing when you're beginning and completing those circles that you do. Wonderful work. See you in the next video.